Are you sure? Continue. Great. Welcome everybody to the first session of the day. We are live. All right. Sorry for the glitch earlier. We're going to kick off this first session with Mike Maadarani, discovering private channels in Microsoft Teams. I will hand it over to Mike, and any questions, post in the chat window. I will try to help Mike facilitate any questions in the channel. Thank you. All right, over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Tom, and good day, everyone. Thank you for joining on this virtual event. Would love to, would have been better to be with you in person, but this is as good as it gets. We will try to get onto a lot of details with Discover Private Channel and Microsoft Teams within the next 50 minutes. We have a lot of things to cover. Thank you, Tom, for helping here. And if you have any questions, if you want to interrupt me, Tom, at any point, please do so, because I won't be able to see the chats or the questions while I'm presenting. So let's get into the topic here. First thing first, thank you for all the sponsors that are supporting this event. We have 3 days of awesome content starting now up until Thursday. So hopefully you will have some dedicated time to check out as many sessions as you can. A quick intro about myself. My name is Mike Maadarani. I've been an MVP in the Office world, the Office 365, previously SharePoint world for 6 years right now. I focus a lot on migration. I focus a lot on SharePoint, Online, and Teams. My contact info on the screen. If you want to reach out to me for any question, any follow-up question, I will be happy to do so. So let's get into the collaboration capabilities within Microsoft platform. There are many, many ways that you can collaborate. So Microsoft natively gives you a lot of tools that will allow you to collaborate and work with each other. Whatever that tool that you can pick, it's up to you. We have traditionally started with Outlook. If you want to start collaborating through emails back in the days, we have the intranet content management dedicated to SharePoint and OneDrive. We got Planner, we got Office apps and Yammer, meetings, you name it. A lot of these collaboration and communications capabilities are based on or powered by Office 365 groups, are powered by custom graph if you want to, or powered by Microsoft Graph that will allow you to go and gather information from different places and display that information, or use that Microsoft Graph API to push information and to automate things. Obviously, without security and compliance, we can't really push a lot of collaboration, especially that we are working remotely and want to make sure that the content is secure. We are compliant with the rules that the organization is providing us. To add on top of that, Microsoft Teams, I'm not going to go into what Teams is all about. I'm sure a lot of us know what Teams is. We have been hearing about it for a while. We've been using it for the past 2.5, 3 years right now. But it is the place for your collaboration. Back in the days as a SharePoint person, I used to push SharePoint as a collaboration tool. Yes, it was good, but it was not there. The integration between SharePoint and Skype for Business, for example, back in the days, it was not the greatest. It kind of lacked a lot of functionalities from a true collaboration. But this is when Microsoft Teams was launched, and it gave us the full capability to do a true collaboration, whether we are in the same room or we are as remotely as we are doing right now, whether we are chatting with people, whether we are going having conversation and posting information for the team, whether we are working on the same document at the same time, whether we are extending Teams to have it as the platform where everyone can go in and make it as the default app for everything except email. Well, I say except email just because we cannot fully manage email with Teams, but we can manage a lot of other things. So we can extend it for custom apps we can have, or third-party apps, Microsoft apps that we can add into Microsoft Teams, and definitely all the security and compliance that we have in M365. Anything from a Microsoft 365 perspective, how to secure the tenant will be applicable to your teams as well, to make sure that whatever you're collaborating on, whatever you're chatting with and having conversations and talking and posting information there and posting tabs and apps or files are compliant with your security standards. So quickly, just basically, if we go into the Teams app specifically, we have a few things from a chat to meetings to calls to files to apps and workflows. We have a lot of cool capabilities that we can have in there, whether you are in your web browser, whether you are in a SICK client or your mobile phone. It does not matter where you are. That unique experience or single experience that you can have across multiple platforms is the true power of Microsoft Teams and the integration with Office 365, that you can have quick access to the information that you need to have, whether they are files shared through SharePoint, notes in OneNote, or tasks in Planner. It is into one place where you can have it all. So that's basically where we can have Teams as the power of Office 365 behind it, that we can log into Teams, and it is the one place to do most of my work. Most of my work today does not require me to answer a lot of emails. I can use Teams for chatting and collaborating with others, having conversations, whatever that is. To kind of start understanding what Microsoft Teams private channels are, we really need to understand what things are. We really need to understand from a high level. I'm not going to go into a detailed architecture in terms of Teams, but we need to understand what things are. Once we understand how things are on a high level, designed or architected, where things are stored in Microsoft Teams, we will start to understand how private channels work. So from a storage perspective, for example, the chat service, it's actually, it leverages Azure storage and moving to Cosmos DB very, very soon. The chat also and the conversation are also stored in Exchange, or they are surfaced through Exchange, just from an information protection and compliance perspective. So for example, if you have an e-discovery, on Teams, the way we can get all the chats and messages and the conversations, we have to have it in Exchange to be able to get all of that out. If we have to have retention, we're gonna have it's the same thing. If it's stored in Azure only, we really cannot get, or we cannot apply retentions. We cannot get some e-discovery out of that. It gets a little bit more complicated. So the final storage is in Azure, but it surfaces through Exchange. From our conversation, images, and media, they are stored in the media store for the stickers, and the GIFs are not stored. They are in memory only. From a file perspective, you probably know this, but let me go through it just quickly right now. If you are doing a one-to-one chat or one-to-many chat, so I've had certain conversation with Tom today as a private chat, and I've taken a document and I've uploaded it into that chat from my local PC. It's not in OneDrive. That document automatically gets uploaded to my own personal OneDrive, or the OneDrive for Business, because I have initiated the upload. So it's uploaded to my OneDrive, and it gives Tom the right to edit that file. It shares it with Tom and will give him the right to edit it as well. From a Teams conversation, if you are in a team and you go and you take a file and same thing, you just drop it into that conversation, or you upload it from your local PC, it will go into SharePoint automatically into the folder dedicated to that channel. So as we know, each channel in Teams has a folder in a SharePoint site, in the SharePoint site collection. Also, you do have the capability to go and add extra cloud storage. If you want to use your Dropbox or Google Drive, you can also add that as an additional optional cloud storage. So if you look at the overview of where the actual entity storage are, we've talked about the messaging is in the chat service table and adjusted in Exchange. Images are using the Azure Blob storage as well. Files, team files in SharePoint, chat files are in OneDrive, voicemail are individually stored in the individual mailbox in Exchange. If we are recorded like we are recording today, if we are recording this meeting, basically it goes into Azure Blob storage and it's encoded into Stream. And shortly after you end the meeting, that Stream video will be available to everyone in the meeting. The calendar, it is in Exchange, the contacts in Exchange, and all the telemetry about Teams are in the Microsoft Data Warehouse. No customer content, only the stats, the telemetry, and the the performance of the teams are stored in the Microsoft data warehouse. So if I look at group chats, for example, group chats, we're going to get into quickly a quick demo because I'm sure everyone has used it. And if not, if we have some attendees that have not used Teams, that's a good quick demo. Group chats are important for me. Basically, what it do, you can do a one-to-one chat, and I can do one-to-many. But it's limited. It's not shared with everyone else. I understand that sometimes we do have to have some private chats between one or a group of people. But for example, if I go and add, if I'm having a conversation with Tom and I'm going to add Jason into it, that conversation history may not be there. If I decide that I don't want to include all the history into the three-way call, if you want to call it, basically Jason will have no context of what we have talked about. So part of the power of team posts and team conversation is the ability to, if I add someone to a team, that person will be able to see all the history of that conversation within that team, unlike the private chat. So if we jump quickly into a quick demo here. I am today, my persona is Megan, and Megan is involved in multiple teams. So I have some teams here, and I have some activities on top left. I have the chat. There's chat happening between Megan and others. So let's just minimize a few things here. So if I go into this chat here, been chatting with Adele, Joanna, chatting with Alex. So I can start a new conversation. We've all done that. And I'm just gonna now, I'm kind of using two personas at the same time. I know that Alan is there. I can go and, Alan, I can just do an ad mention here. I need your help in today's demo. Not really caring about the typos here. Alan will get the notification. This is me and Alan on a different window. I click on this, I get that. Sure, and I say Megan. Sure, but if we add one more person, the demo will be much easier to manage. So here, for example, I'm suggesting now to Megan that we want to add another one. So Megan here, I'll go back here. It says Alan has mentioned you. Is it replied back? I can do reply, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I can go back and say, yes, I like the idea that Alan had suggested. I'm going to go and add more. I can go and add Adele instead. I can click on adding Adele to help us out with this demo. Click on add. As you can see, it has created in this tenant, it has created a new chat thread. So Adele did not see, it's a new conversation right now between the three of us, does not see what Alan and I had actually talked about. So it's completely, Adele is in blind. If we need to repeat the same thing, I have to go repeat the whole thing and just tell Adele what Alan and I had talked about. Unlike if I am in a team conversation, I can go into the general and I can say at Alan, and I can start the conversation with Alan and everyone can see it. So those are some of the limitations I can see from a one-to-one chat. And the reason sometimes the one-to-one chat is just we want to have a private one. And that drives our next slide in terms of what do we need to know from a private channel and how the actual private channel are set up.
Hi, Mike, 1 second. Do you want to take questions as you go, or do you want to wait till a certain point?
Let's take a question right now.
Okay, so here's a question. I have a guest account turned on for my tenant for Teams collaboration. Can join a team, collaborate on files, join meetings, etc. Does the guest have to sign up with a Microsoft account in order to collaborate in Teams as a guest?
That is a very common question. I'm going through this one and I've developed a lot of FAQs on this. Yes, definitely, absolutely. if I join, if I invite a guest person that has an email account not associated with a quote unquote live account, Microsoft Live account, that person will have to register the personal email with the live account before you will be able to join Teams. And the reason for that, to access any Microsoft services, you have to have your email associated with the live account. So if we look at basically the architecture of Microsoft Teams, we got at the bottom, we got tabs, channels, and teams. So we got product launch as a team, all the bright green boxes are channels, and we got tabs that you can have to each channel. That's pretty standard. We look at the membership. All the membership of the team is managed at the team level. So if you want to add a guest, if you want to add an extra member or an owner, you have to go and add it at the team level. So this is a standard channel scenario. If we look at the private channel scenario, so I have, for example, reports here that has a lock on it. I can create another private channel, and the private channel will be only visible to the members of the channel. So I can create membership. No, I can manage the membership at the team level. I can add members to the channel. So I cannot add a member to the reports channel here if that member is not part of the team membership. So the membership is at the team level, and the members are subsets of a team. So if you have a guest, if you are creating reports channel today as a private channel, and you want to add a guest account to that reports private channel, that guest account must be a member of the product launch team before you can add it to the reports private channel. If that person is not part of the product launch team, you will not be able to, actually you won't see it. So you try to add, let's say I've added Tom's Gmail account to it, and Tom is not part of the product launch, and I try and go and add Tom. Tom will not be able, it will not resolve. It will not be able to see Tom's account. So let's look at some of the advantages and some limitations we have on a private channel. From a standard channel, it is open for collaboration. So when you create like we know a standard channel, you don't have to do anything from the membership. It inherits that membership from the teams, and it's open for collaboration. Everyone can see everything there. So whatever you see there, whatever you see, whatever you tab, you add to it, whatever files you share in a standard channel, everyone has access to it. Private channel, it is very confidential. Only the members of that channel, whatever that member is, a guest or a tenant member, tenant user, or the owner, will have access to everything in that channel. So if you're not a member of that channel, you won't see it. You won't see it at all. It does not actually show up in your teams. There are some limitations that, for example, we can have only today up to 30 private channels per team. You cannot have more than 30 private channels per team. That is in addition to the 200 standard channels that we have. You can turn off creation of private channels. So if you don't want private channels to be created by the users or the owners, you can turn it off from the administration side of Teams. And you can have some policies as well associated with private channels. So other limitations we have is you can only have up to 250 members per private channel, and only members of the private channel can view the private channel content, like I said. There is also, I think I'm going to talk about it later on, but I'm going to mention it today. If I am a member only of a team, I can personally create a private channel if the team owner allows me to do so. I can create a private channel, and if I opt not to have the team owner as a member of it, I can. So I can leave the team owner out of a private channel if I want to, if that setting is turned on, and usually it is turned on by default. So, and that's for the reason because they want to have that confidential information. Even if I am a team owner, if I'm not part of the private channel, I will not be able to see it. So from a high-level architecture, if you look at where things are stored, we're going to talk about the group governance later on around the last 2-3 slides of this presentation. So we're going to skip that. We're going to focus on the middle, the green boxes, and the dark, whatever that color is, burgundy color I have there. So I have a team A, and then in team A, there is a channel 1 and a channel 3 and a channel 2 and a channel 4. Channel 1 and 3 are standard channels. 2 and 4 are private channels that have different users that have different memberships in there. So from a storage perspective, channel 1 and 3, we have group mailboxes. So once we create a team, each standard channel will have a group mailbox for it. So that way all the actual messaging is surfaced through it or ingested through that group mailbox. And from a files and storage perspective, the channel 1 and 3 will create a SharePoint file folder called channel 1 and 3 in SharePoint. Now, if we go into private, things get a little bit messier there. Things get outside of our comfort zone, if you want to call it. So we talk about channel 2 and 4 as private channels. From a messaging perspective, all the conversations we're having in a private channel, all the posts that we have in a private channel, they are stored in the user mailboxes or they are ingested in the user mailboxes. So if we have a private channel that has 30 members in it, all the conversations we're having among all of us will be ingested and stored into all 3 different mailboxes. And this is from a governance perspective, and that we'll talk about that later on. Why is this happening? From a file perspective, it is going to create a new SharePoint site collection. Every SharePoint site collection for each private channel. And I know what you think here. Every private channel is a site collection. I'm like, oh my God, how I'm going to manage that? So let's dig deeper into this. You create a private channel, automatically it is going to create a new, then a different site collection. So if you look at retails, for example, dash reports, this is my private, well, as all site collections in Teams are private. This is my site collection associated with a private channel. The way it creates it, it will create it as a team name, automatically dash channel name. So it will be in the display name, and it will be in the URL as well. So if you look at detailed dash reports in the URL, you get detailed dash reports in the actual display name. You see that this folder is connected to Microsoft Teams. You can go back to channel. This is a limited version of a Microsoft Teams site or a modern Teams site that does not allow you to manage pages, for example, or things like that. It will always have a cleanup job. You can add a page and will always go back and clean up that. So the purpose of this site collection is only to store this file associated with the private channel. So from a scalability perspective, each channel right now has been upgraded, if you want to call it, to accommodate up to 2 million site collections. So you don't have to worry about that. That basically I might run out of site collection spaces. There are a lot of 2 million site collections is way too many site collections. If you have 2 million site collections, that is a problem. That's a manageability problem more than a private channel problem. But definitely, when you want to decide to go the private channel way, you don't have to worry about that, but you have to worry about how you're going to manage that as effectively as possible, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. So let's jump back into my demo and show you what a private channel is all about.
Hey, Mike, I got a quick question before your demo.
Go for it.
Are you limited to the number of teams? Is there a limit to that?
How many teams in a tenant, you mean? Is that the question?
Yeah, I think so. I would probably think that would be correct.
Yeah, there is a limit. I don't I have to double check what it is. Definitely the limit will have to be associated with the number of site collection, because if you run out of 2 million site collection, you can't actually create more teams, because it will not be able to create the actual site collections. I will have to follow up on that. If whoever asked the question, if that person can share the info, I can definitely reply back with the exact number.
Okay,
Right,
thanks. Yeah, oh, thanks. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't answer quick enough.
There we go. So here, let's close this one. I don't have anything here. I have this retail that Megan owns, is an owner of that retail team site. So let's close this one as well. And as you can see, there are 3 different private channels. So we got Demo 2, Reports, and Webinar Confidential. If there is a lock beside it, it means that it is private and I can see it. So I mean, I'm either an owner of that or a member of it. And that's the only way I can see it. If I launch, for example, the other persona here, let's see what the other persona here. So this is Alan. It's you can see here Alan here in the picture. If I go as Alan here, Alan does not see. Alan, for example, does not see the webinar. Alan sees demo, elite group and reports. Does not see others, because Alan is not member of that private channel. So if I go into Demo 2 and I click on the membership here, and I say Manage Channel, I will be able to see who are the guests. So there's only myself here. I just created a private channel for myself. I can definitely go and add members. So if I want to go and add Alan, so we're talking about Demo 2 channel here. If I add Alan to it, click on add, I can promote Alan to be an owner if I want to. Similar as you are managing a team. But I'm just going to keep Alan as a member. So Alan right now is a member. And I'm going to just Alt-Tab to Alan right now. And this is Alan here. I know just jumping between personas, but this is Alan DeYoung. And where we go, Alan, Demo 2 is available. And I can see as Alan all the history between in that specific private channel. One thing I want to, like I mentioned, I have something called Elite Group. Alan has it. So Alan DeYoung is in the retail, and Alan is an Elite Group here. If I go back into Megan, and Megan is the owner of retail, Megan cannot see Elite private channel just because Alan created that private channel and did not add Megan. Even Megan is the actual owner of retail, cannot see it. However, Megan, as a team owner, can see there is. So if I go into Manage Team here, if I click on Channels, Megan will be able to see that there is a channel called Elite Group. So I can only see it if I go into the team settings and the channels. I won't be able to see it from the drop down here. I will be able to see it here. And that's all I can see here. So I can see who the channel owner is. So I can say, hey, Alan created a private channel in my team without inviting me to it. I can make decisions if I want to be part of it or not, but definitely I can delete this channel and then don't really talk to Alan and tell Alan, hey, tough luck. But I can go back and talk to Alan and see what's up with that private channel. But this gives you basically the capability that because of the sensitivity that comes along with Microsoft Teams private channels, if I want to make it private, I can lock it out from everybody else. So even though Megan can see that is an Elite Group private channel, Megan cannot see what the content of it is because I cannot click on it here from the left-hand side. It is not available for me. So the process to create a private channel is exactly like creating a standard channel. So I can say SDS Elite Secret Group, and I can say I want to make it as private. And once I do that, it will ask me if I want to add more. Let's add Adele here, and I can make it as an owner. And I have created one. So we have it's exactly the same as a standard channel. Now, if I go into, what is the other one here? If I go into Alan does not see it because he's not a member of it. Alan can be nice enough and say, I want to go back and add the team owner, and I can go and add Megan, this private channel, and I just want to make sure that Megan only is a member. If you are a team owner, does not automatically make you a private channel owner. You can still be only a member there. And if I switch the personas right now again, you can see at some point this will get updated. Sometimes these days, with everyone working remotely, synchronization takes a little bit more time to see it here. So it will eventually show up here when this happens. So you look at activity, see here, and it added you to the private channel elite group. If I come back here, there we go, elite group is added. So this is a quick demo of how private channels work. If I go into the files, the files tab, and I have a strategy step here, if I click on open in SharePoint, you will see that it has retail-elite group as the site collection URL, the site collection name, and if I go into documents, I can only see the elite group folder. I don't see the other folders. So unlike if I go into general and I do the same thing from a files perspective, and if I click on open in SharePoint, then in the main site collection associated with the main team, if you are the type of person that lives in SharePoint and used to SharePoint, now SharePoint is, and you like to manage things within SharePoint, you don't have to. But again, you can see that all the actual different standard channel file folders are in place.
Hi, Mike, I got another question.
Go for it.
All right. Can you add Outlook secure groups to, security groups to DLs to the team members?
No, you cannot, and that's not a limitation of Teams. That's a limitation of the Office 365 groups. In Office 365 groups, the membership of the groups are only users, active users, and you cannot have a DL, a secure DL, or Active Directory security group. It has to be a user added to the Office 365 group. And because the membership of Teams is managed by the membership of Office 365 group, that's why we cannot do that.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay, moving on. We got 15 minutes to talk about management and administration. If you are a SharePoint tenant admin, if you go to the central admin of SharePoint, to the SharePoint Admin Center, you will not be able to see the site collections created of a private channel. You don't see at all. You only see all the site collections associated with Teams and other site collections, but not the private channel site collection. The private channel site collection, when it's created, it will have a template called Team Channel #0. So if you are an administrator and you want to get a list of all the site collection private channels, you just have to run this command line. Basically, let's point to it here. So this command line here, I get SPO site limit all template team channel #0 will give you a list of all the private channel site collections. So owner and member groups are managed by Teams. So any direct changes to these groups in SharePoint will be synchronized with the private channel owner and members list. if you want to add someone to lead, that's not only applicable to the private channel, also to the team site collection. If you want to add someone to look at the actual documents and don't want that person or group to be part of the conversation in the channel, you can just add them to the visitors group into SharePoint, and they will be able to see the files. But if you add them to the actual members and owners from SharePoint, that is going to be synchronized over by team. So there is a timer job that happens every 4 hours for the private channel that will override the membership of the members and ownership groups, not the visitors. And that's why if you put a group of users in a visitor group to give them access only to the files, that will not be impacted. But if you make any changes on the SharePoint side, it will be overwritten by that timer job from Teams. From an administration perspective, if you are a Teams admin, you can see, similar to what a team owner can see, you will see all the channels. You will be able to see all the channels. You will be able to edit channels. You can be able to manage the membership of the channel as well. So we'll go through that as well, and we'll show you how it is. Private channels have full support of PowerShell and Graph API. So if you are bulk creating channels on behalf of the users, if you're automating the creation of teams, and if you're creating a private channel for each team from a governance perspective, you will be able to do that through either PowerShell or Graph API. What kind of management I have also from a team owner perspective? So I can, as a team owner, I can go and change the member permissions. I can say, I want to allow members to remove tabs. I want to allow them to create channels or not, private channels or not. So we'll go through that as well in the demo. Actually, let's quickly jump into that, since we don't only have about 17 minutes, or less than that, about 12 minutes left. So here, as Alan is not a team owner, but Megan is a team owner. So as a team owner here, if I go to Manage Team and I click on the Settings and Member Permissions, I can allow members to create channels or not. If I've unchecked it for members that before Alan created one. So I can check that or uncheck it. So I can, as a team owner, make sure that members do not create private channels. So I have a lot of access to do things here. Similar things on a private channel perspective. So if I go into the private channel here and I click on Manage Channel, I do have some permissions, member permission settings I can set. I can say I don't want them to create or remove tabs. I don't want them to delete their messages. So I have like a subset of permission settings I can add into the private channel side as well. From a backend administration as well, if I go into, actually, let's do it here, admin.teams.microsoft.com. If I am a Teams administrator, if I go into Teams and manage Teams in the backend, I have the full capability. I think we're talking about retail. As you can see, retail has 5 private channel and 3 standard channel, a total of 19 members and 2 owners, 0 guests. So I can go into retail here. It will give me a full overview of the channels. As a team administrator, I have that on every single team because I am the administrator of teams. Here, I don't see what the content of it is, although as an administrator, I always have a backend loophole to add myself to it. But let's go into Elite Group, for example. I can click on it, and I can remove, well, we can't remove, we'll talk about that. I can promote Megan to be an owner, and I can demote Alan to be a member, then remove that from Alan. I cannot remove an owner unless I demote the owner to be a member. That's a functionality of Teams, so I can say remove. Now Alan is not part of the elite group private channel anymore. Moving on.
Oh, wait, Mike, before you move on, 1 second. There's a question here. Is there a limit for how many team owners there can be?
No, absolutely not. If you have 250 members, they can all be owners. There's no limit. Typically, making a decision to create a private channel or create a team, it's every case is different. This is like a quick cross-reference check when to create a private channel. You can come up with your own as well. For example, if there is already a team that people are member of it, yes. Do these members of the team need to collaborate privately among each other? Yes. Then they want to have multiple topics to discuss on? Yes, create a private channel. If they want to discuss multiple topics, they want to have a lot of people discussing that topic, create a private channel. If there's just one-on-one discussion, go ahead and create and do a private chat. For example, if there is a team has already been created, no, we don't have a team. You want to create a team that has, some of them need to have access to everything, and some don't have to have access to a lot of information, some of the information, then yes, create a private channel. Do you have a private team? Do you have members of that team? Do you need to keep the work private from others? Yes, create a team, but there is no distinct topic not to talk about, then you don't have to create a private channel. So you have to assess the impact of creating a private channel and how we can manage it later on. Who can create a private channel? Like I said, any member, if that setting is turned on, any member of a team can create a private channel. Definitely the owner of the team can create a private channel, and the actual tenant admin or the team administrator can create a private channel through the UI, through the backend central admin, or through PowerShell. Removing a member. If you remove a member from the team, so if I have removed Alan from the retail team, Alan is automatically removed from the private channel because the membership, as I said, is managed at the team level. So it will automatically remove it. What happens if you remove an owner from the team? Same thing. An owner or a member is the same thing. If that person is no longer part of the team, that person will not be able, will be removed automatically from the channel. From a visibility perspective, private channel information, the team owner can see all the private channels, and the team members can see what has been added to the private channels. So the name, description, conversation, and tab, files, and content. If you are similar to a standard channel, if you are a member of it, you can see it all. If you're not a member of it, you don't see it. If you are a team owner, you can see it as listed in the channel list, only you cannot see anything inside it. We've gone through that. Let's talk about, before, one thing I want to mention here. This is a common question, that what happens, so every team must have an owner, and every channel must have an owner. So I cannot go and remove an owner if that is the last owner of a channel or a private channel or a team. I cannot. It has to have an owner. Always has to have an owner, whether it's a team or a private channel. We get a common question, what if that person is no longer with the organization? That account has been removed. What happens? So it will be in this mode, that team or channel, call it ownerless mode, where as an administrator of the tenant, I can go and promote a member to be an owner. I see that as a notification in my UI. So typically, if this happens and that team or private channel is still active among members, that they want to manage it, they usually contact the team's tenant admin and ask for another person to be promoted to be a member, to be an owner, sorry. 5 minutes left. Let's talk about information protection here. There is a reason, I skipped it. Just I want to talk about it specifically here. I skipped why from a private channel perspective. Why do we store things in a user mailbox from a chat and conversations, not in a group mailbox? There is some architecture decision from the product group that they went that way, specifically from a permissions perspective and confidentiality perspective. In a group mailbox, you cannot have like a subset or a folder that specific users can have access to it. So we spin off all the chats and conversations are in a user mailbox. So what happens if you want to have want to have an e-discovery? An e-discovery, if you're doing an e-discovery, you want to do a legal hold. The e-discovery of the search applies to all the private channels. So that's why we have to keep things in Exchange, because if we are searching for specific keywords during the e-discovery, that search will go against the group mailboxes for the standard channel and every user's mailbox in a private channel. So if there is an e-discovery or a case in e-discovery, that search goes against every user mailbox in the private channel. If there is a legal hold, that has to happen on the content of my case in the search that I've done. That legal hold must be placed at least on one user in the private channel. In a group, in a standard channel, the legal hold will be done on a group mailbox. But from a private channel perspective, because all the channels and all the chats and conversations surfaces in every user mailbox, I don't have to put a legal hold on all the mailboxes. It will happen on one user mailbox only. From a SharePoint perspective, there is no issue. It's because we have a separate site collection. From a private channel perspective, the legal hold is happening on that private site collection. Similar things that happens if we are in the team site collection for all the standard channels, the legal hold happens on that SharePoint site. So quickly, scenario, from a legal hold perspective, from a chat perspective, one-to-one, one-to-many chats or private chats and private channel conversation, the legal hold is on the mailbox. The Microsoft Teams chats, excluding private channels, on the group mailbox. The Microsoft Teams content wiki files on the SharePoint sites. The Microsoft Teams private channels on the dedicated private channel SharePoint site. The user's private content, for example, if I have uploaded a document on a private chat, the legal hold happens at the OneDrive for Business, and the private channel communications on the user's mailboxes. From a retention perspective, right now, we still don't have private channel does not support retention yet. So the retention is still happening only from a chat perspective, not from a content perspective, because content is in SharePoint and I can put retention on all the SharePoint site collections. That is not a problem. But from a chat perspective, the retention happens, does not cover private channels. So if I have a 30-day retention on all the chats, that 30-day retention will not be applied to the private channels. It's only applied to the standard channels. As a wrap up here, some resources. We will be sharing this one as well, this presentation. So some resources that you want to go and check, specifically the Microsoft Tech community. There is a lot of updates happening there. There's a lot of training videos on everything I've talked about, a lot more details. Go ahead and check it out. aka.ms/success with Teams is a good place to start. And of course, your feedback is very valuable, whether from a speaker's perspective. I take all the feedback seriously, whether I've done good things or bad things and how to improve in the future. It will be great to get your feedback, and the feedback also from the event perspective. So we have 2 codes here if you want to scan them and get some feedback that are very, very welcome from myself personally and the event organizer. And with that in mind, thank you again for attending. My contact info is on the screen. I would love to hear from you, and if you have any questions, I would love to hear them, and we'll be able to answer them back to you. Thank you. Do we have any questions that we should answer before we end it?
Let's see. So I don't see any new questions right now. We've been answering them as we go. If anybody, and thank you, Mike, for presenting and talking to our audience here. If there's anybody that has any specific questions, feel free to put the information in the chat window, and we'll answer questions now. Otherwise, we'll let you go a couple minutes early, and let's just give it a few seconds. I have taken notes for the people that have requested certain information. And just so you know, Mike, I posted the official documentation of the limits of teams in the channel from Microsoft. So there's probably, you could still follow up and just confirm that that's correct. All right, doesn't look like any more questions right now, but yes, we really appreciate you. Thanks for helping us kick off. Oh, here we go. How do we get the recording? We will, it's not a question for Mike, but at the end of this, we will cut the videos, make sure, cut them into different chunks, and we'll post them on Twitter, YouTube, and we'll send out the links to everybody that attendees. Okay, so Mike, how do we get your slides? What's the best way?
I have a question to you. Are we sharing them somewhere, or are we giving them to you, or should I just tweet about it? I have, if people can send me personally email, I can email it to them. I typically post them on SlideShare. SlideShare is if you search for my name on SlideShare, you'll find it there. Yeah,
I would say you can wait till we collect them all. It's usually I'll tell you, it's usually a little bit of a hassle to collect all the speaker slides. So I would probably say go to the SlideShare and get the information. You have his email right there. so shoot him a reminder if you don't see it in the next day or so.
Okay.
That usually motivates speakers to get their slides up.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. If there's no more questions, we'll cut it right now, and everybody enjoy the rest of the day.
All right.
All right. Thanks again, Mike. All right. Take care.
Talk to you soon.